So I'm guessing that there's gotta be like some ground rules as far as you use these colors in bathrooms, you use these colors in kitchens, like.
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, you know, in this brand alone, there are 200 different designs. Plus, you know, Granite, there's Granite that comes from all over the world with all different looks and designs. So it really depends on what people like. And, you know, I would say the majority of people that I deal with right now want white countertops with gray veins. You know, we've been sailing that ship for years, and those of us in the business are kind of getting over that look, but it's still very popular. White cabinets, white countertops.
Gray paint on the wall. And some kind of wood flooring.
Some Sherwin-Williams paint on the wall, yes.
Like tile. That would be my house.
We're seeing people
You just described my house.
Well, it's a neutral base, you know, and you can put whatever colors you want with it. And it's gonna work with anything that you throw in there. Any color towels, you know, whatever. Any color couch in your living room, it's gonna work with that white kitchen. But you know, you have to keep it clean, and white cabinets are a little harder to keep clean because, you know, around the knobs it gets dirty and things like that. So, you know, these are 4 that just came in this week. These are 4 of Cambria's newest designs, and you can see there's still whites with grays, although this one here has introduced some sage green. So they're starting to see a little bit more color. We have some here, like this one has a beautiful blue, because some people are doing like...
Is that the same as this one over here on the wall?
It's different, because this one has a texture to it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but it, you know, a lot of people are introducing navy as a good neutral, so that is so nice with navy as a neutral.
My sister's redoing her kitchen, and she's doing the navy cabinets. Her husband's making her do it, and she's so upset about it.
Send her over.
So pretty.
Send her over.
But this is gorgeous with it.
Yeah. Well, and there's one on the wall over there that's really pretty that people love, second from the end, that's white and it has that wave of navy and gold in it. So we are seeing some more colors. People are starting to introduce more. Yeah, some subtle things.
So what are the most popular?
White with gray veins.
White with gray, obviously. Yeah.
Definitely so. This one here in Cambria has always been popular. It's called Britannica. And this is the warmer version, meaning the background is a little more of an off-white than a pure white. But it still goes with white cabinets. It still looks great with the gray cabinet that's there. Britannica also comes with a pure white background and a much more gray vein. It comes in a pure white background with a black vein. It comes in different versions, which is how Cambria got to 200 different designs. They'll take the design and they'll make a slight change to it. They'll throw in another color, or they'll throw in another vein, or something like that. So
tell me what the pros and cons are between going. In my mind, I'm thinking there's maybe 4 options. You've got your quartz, your quartzite, your marble, and your granite. Am I missing some big option out there?
Soapstone sometimes people want.
But what are the pros?
So granite and quartz are the 2 main ones. And granite is a natural stone. It is blasted out of a mountain in a cube. They slice up the cube, and that's your countertop, basically. Yeah. So being a natural stone, it is porous, which means it's going to soak up moisture. So we do seal it. We put a 15-year seal on it, but that's if you're not using it for 15 years. If you're using it, it's probably going to have to be resealed in 5 or 6 years. Okay. And it's easy to do.
And roughly what does that cost to reseal it?
It's easy to do yourself. You can do it yourself. You can spend $20 or $30 at the big box store and get a can of sealer, wipe it on with a rag, it dries really fast, and you're done.
Okay. So homemade.
Do people do that? Rarely.
Probably not.
Rarely. But then they wonder why different parts of their countertop might be shinier than other parts, or next to your faucet where you've got your soap, you're going to see a darker mark there. Okay. Or in the bathroom where your cup is, you're going to see a darker mark there. Okay. And that means that it has leached some moisture into the stone and it's making it look darker. It can dry out eventually if you move the soap to the other side, or whatever. But we do see some mold issues when we pull sinks out, for instance. If someone is getting a new countertop, we pull the granite out, there's usually mold around the sink.
Really?
Because it's under there, you don't even know it's there.
Huh.
But it has leached in that
Do you see that
moisture
with any
because it
other
is
stone?
porous. No, because quartz is non-porous.
Right.
So there are a couple of reasons why people have kind of made that switch over to quartz in the last few years. One is the fact that it is non-porous. Nothing gets past the surface of this product because it is so compacted in the manufacturing process that nothing gets past the surface. So it's antimicrobial, it's stain resistant, it's scratch resistant, and all of that. Plus, it comes with a warranty, whereas granite, no warranty.
Okay.
If it chips or anything, you're on your own. But quartz, there is a warranty. In Cambria, it's a lifetime warranty. It's transferable to the next people who own the house, et cetera, et cetera. Other brands have different warranties. It might be 10 years, it might be lifetime, it might be 25 years. But that is part of the beauty of quartz, is that it does come warranted.
That's what
I think the other reason quartz has been so popular the last few years is because design went into this white land that everyone wants the white countertops, and there is no granite that's white. So it would have to be marble, which Joanna Gaines and...
How do you feel about marble?
Well, Joanna Gaines and Mina, whatever her name is, from Good Bones, they love to use marble, but they forget to tell you the disadvantages of marble, because marble's very soft, it etches, it stains very easily. I can't tell you how many times I have heard from people who put marble in, and within the first week, they had this on their stone.
No.
Because if you have a spoon,
Oh, I'd be so mad.
if you have a spoon that has tea on it, or orange juice,
Don't drink
or
any wine.
apple juice, or wine, heaven forbid, if you even lay that spoon down, it's gonna leave a mark. It's going to etch it, which means it took the shine away, or it's going to actually stain it. And once that happens, that's it.
So
You
in
do
my
anything
mind, I
with
keep
it.
thinking marble's reserved for floors, but now you're even talking me out of it for flooring.
Well, it depends on what coatings they put on it. There are companies that claim that they have coatings. We haven't seen it yet. But my thing is, it's beautiful. It is natural.
For
It's
10
a
minutes.
gorgeous product. But they've used it for centuries in Europe, and, it's fine. But it's kind of like, I tell people it's kind of like wooden floors. If you're gonna throw a hissy fit every time there's a scratch or divot on your wooden floor, then get luxury vinyl that looks like wood. Don't get wood. If you're gonna get a hissy fit every time you get a mark on your countertop, then don't get marble.
And
In
are they
Europe, they actually value the patina of age. So they don't care if the floors are scratched. They don't care if the countertops are messed up. They like that look.
Now, are the costs comparable between marble, granite, and quartz or quartzite?
Marble is often more expensive.
Expensive. So you're
Yeah.
paying more and you're frustrated more.
It's beautiful. I mean, some people still love that look.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. But you just have to be prepared for what comes with it. And I don't live the kind of life that I want to protect my countertop all the time. I just want it to be there and work for me.
Well,
I don't want to have to think about it.
We want our homes to be livable and comfortable. If you're going to show, if you're showing your home and that's
Right.
what it's for, that's one thing. But you want to
Well,
live and be
and in
comfortable.
America, as opposed to Europe, we tend to like things looking shiny and new. Whereas in Europe, they're fine with it looking 400 years old and marked. They don't care. But here, we care. We want it to look new and shiny, so that's where quartz comes in, because it is that way. You want to know how quartz is made? I can show you that real quick. So this is a natural quartz piece. It's one of the most prevalent stones on the planet, and it's also one of the hardest. It comes in every color. This just happens to be a clear white one. This is mined in Canada. Cambria owns the mine. So they don't mine a cube and slice it up like we did with granite. They mine it in tubes like this of particulate.
Well, that's interesting.
So like the finest one is actually delivered to the factory in tanker trucks.
Well, that kind of explains what you were saying about the Britannica, which they could change color. Because I was wondering, how are they changing colors in stone?
Because it's pigment. Because these are all man-made designs to replicate natural stone. So they take this, it arrives to the manufacturer in big canvas bags, and they mix. Now, Cambria has their recipe that everyone knows. The other quartz manufacturers that are imported from overseas, they don't divulge their recipes. Cambria has 93% quartz, and 7% resin and pigment gets added to that. We think, based on performance, that the imported quartzes do not have that high of a quartz content. There's no rule that says it has to be this much quartz in order to be called quartz. Yeah, there's no rule. There's no FDA that oversees this.
Sure.
So what Cambria does, and I'm sure the other manufacturers do it the same way, they take this, they mix it with the pigment, the colors, and the resin, and it's like a wet sand. And it comes down the conveyor belt into a big giant pan like a cookie sheet. And they put that into a machine that these Breton machines are made in Italy, and most companies use the same kind of machine. And it compresses it heavily, it shakes it violently, and it's a vacuum that sucks out all of the air. So what is left, it goes from this thick down to this thick. So it is so condensed that nothing else fits in it.
Also explains why it's not porous.
Why
You're
it's
still
not
blowing
porous.
my mind with the
Yep.
granite and the mold underneath.
Yeah.
I would have never thought about that.
We see it. Well, after it's all compressed and you've got this big piece, it cooks for a little while and then it goes through the polishing process. It's usually like 6 stages of polishing to get it to be this finished piece. Almost 2. This portrush has been very popular with the Navy, and if you look really closely, you can see it's got these little tiny gold things in it.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah,
I
because
did
some
not- I
people
would
do
not
like
have
to
noticed
marry
that.
the gold or the champagne
That would
knobs and such with navies.
That would
Yeah.
be great if you're taking it all the way up the wall.
Right. Yes, we do full height splashes sometimes. A lot more times now, people just don't like grout. They don't like caring for it. They don't like caring for it. So we do full height splashes that go from the countertop up to the bottom of that top cabinet. But we also do shower stalls.
I know, that's becoming more and more. Okay,
Yeah.
so then you answered
Yeah.
that question, which now I understand. Well, no.
It comes in different thicknesses. These are here just for
Okay.
the sample because they're
Okay.
so heavy.
Because I kept
Yeah.
thinking, my goodness, that is a big, thick slab for a shower. So
Yeah.
they're making.
They can
Narrower.
be thinner. Yeah,
Okay.
it can be thinner for a shower.
I totally want to do that because I also don't like grout, and
It's
I definitely
beautiful.
don't want to clean it in a shower.
It's beautiful. It can be pricey, but it is
Yeah, no
beautiful. I mean, I'm sure it's probably more than a tiled shower would be, although that depends on what tile you pick too.
Yeah.
Also work with, we can source any stone that people find. So these are all different types of quartz lines, but they tend to be similar. So, this quartz line has maybe 25 or 30 different designs, but again, a lot of them are white with gray veins. Same thing for this one, same thing for this one. They'll fill in with a couple of blacks and a couple of tans, but they're all very, very similar.
They really are.
And, we have lots more in here. There are lots of brands to choose from. This one I will point out, because quartz is not recommended for outdoor use.
I didn't know that. That's something new.
Because of the resin content in it, even though like with Cambria it's only 7%, I don't know what it is with these other brands, but the resin could actually yellow or turn color outside over time. So they don't recommend it for outdoor use. But Caesarstone has come out with an outdoor quartz. So they have changed the content of it that it is approved for outdoor use.
I'm learning all kinds of new things.
Yeah. Otherwise, for outdoor use, we always recommend granite, and these are some samples of granite that we keep. We have a few more outside. Mostly, if people want a granite, we would send them to a granite distributor so that they can go through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different slabs and choose exactly what they want and choose their slab. Because some of them, like this for instance, this is the same pattern. It's called Fantasy Brown. This is Fantasy Brown, but it varies very widely.
Yeah.
Depending on the slab.
Kind of like tile or carpet or anything else that you're choosing.
They want to pick the exact slab of a natural stone like this because it does vary. We have 2 saw-jets over here that are cutting large pieces at all times. We have guys over here who are doing edges and fixing backsplashes and things like that. We have some quartz stored in here. The green board, there's a camera up here. What we'll do is we'll put a slab on it, take a photo of it, and let's say it's something that has a really big vein and you want to know how that vein is going to match up in your kitchen. Because everybody's kitchen has veins. Has seams. Everybody's kitchen has seams. So, you know, an L-shaped kitchen, they want to know how that vein is going to look. They're going to be picky about it. And they want to know where the vein is going to fall on their island and how it's going to look through the sink and things like that. So,
I didn't know to be that picky.
We will take a photo of the slab. Once we've measured their kitchen, we generate a CAD drawing. So the CAD drawing is laid on top of the photo of the slab so that you can see exactly how that's going to look. So, you know, if you want the vein in the middle and it's showing up on the bottom, you know, just tell us we need to move that a little. And we can do that for people. Again, they're spending thousands of dollars on this. We want them to be happy with it.
Who are improving their homes and maybe they have like a laminate countertop.
Right.
They might not realize that you have to have your cabinets installed first, then they measure.
Right.
And then there's the wait time. I had to learn that the hard way.
Well, and usually the cabinet people will put some kind of a temporary countertop on it. The sink isn't always installed.
Right.
Because if you have an apron front farm sink, that is installed in the cabinet. So that sink would have been there for you to use, right?
Maybe.
Should have been. Should have been. But, you know, most people have undermount sinks, and that is installed with the countertop.
Yeah,
so it does have to wait.
But you couldn't use it because you can't put a faucet or anything. You know, like you gotta wait for the countertop to be installed to put your hardware in. So yeah, we did dishes in the bathroom for a few weeks.
Yeah.
An 8-hour lot.
You know, we tell people that in the long run, it won't seem like that long of a time.
You know, and that is true.
To get a custom fit countertop.
Yes,
you know,
I will tell you, looking
it is
back,
hard when you're in the middle of it and you have 3 children and a baby on the way and all that. It
looking
is tough.
back, it was like, that was easy. That was nothing. What was I complaining about? But when you're living it every day, it's very stressful.
Paper plates.
Very stressful. So I read on your website that there was a remnant section. Is that what this is? Or is it outside? What's outside?
Some is outside, some is inside. So these are slabs that mostly have been filled in for a specific job.
Okay. So somebody's bought these.
Someone has ordered this for something.
Okay.
Some of these are remnants. The ones with the blue tags are mostly remnants. It's a smaller piece that is left over from another job.
Okay. And so what would you use that for?
They're very inexpensive. It's a really economical way to do a bathroom, a laundry room, you know, the top of a dresser, something like that, a pass-through. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, all of these are taken for something, and sometimes you can find some really cool and unusual things.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Very neat.
So,
I wasn't expecting the inside story here.
Yeah, there are 2 saws here, and basically they are being cut with water. The water is a water jet with garnets in it to cut through this hard stone, because again, it's one of the hardest stones. All the water is recycled. We use 100% of the water, we reuse it. So there's a tower back there of water. Every, I don't know, 3 times a year or something, they cleaned it out because it gets a lot of sediment in it, and we get fresh water, I think. But for the most part, it's all reused. If you want to walk back here a little bit, we'll kind of stay out of its way.
I feel like I need a hard hat.
I have to show you this stone, though. is quartzite, but doesn't it look like wood? Isn't it the coolest?
I gotta feel it.
It's one of my very favorites.
Oh my, you gotta feel it.
Okay.
This one does have a
Oh.
suede finish. Yeah.
Is that what that is? Suede?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a suede finish. This is a quartzite, so it's a little different than granite, a little different makeup, but it's called Cygnus with a C-Y-G-N-U-S. It's one of my favorites. I just think it's really cool. I mean,
It
you
is
think
cool.
that came out of the earth like that?
I know.
It's just so cool. We have to use the machinery because it's so heavy.
Oh, of course. I did not envy the installers who had to carry it in the house.
Yeah.
That was a quartz joke.
Was it a sinkhole?
I said, do you call it a sinkhole? And she was like, no.
Oh.
Yeah. This is interesting because look at the curve. They managed to do the curve in the stone. Beautiful. And don't ask me how they did it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how on earth?
There's heat involved.
Oh, okay.
There's heat involved, but this is where they cut smaller.
Different places. You know, and that leads me to another question, actually. So I would think, and I have a very small home, so, and I remodeled my kitchen, but not my bathrooms, and I would think for a small space, I would want the same stone for all of my countertops, just because it is small. But
In
do
the
you
kitchen?
see? No, kitchens and bathrooms, like throughout the home, I would want the same stone. But do you see a lot of people mixing and matching
Yeah.
different
I
stones
mean,
for
that-
different rooms?
I think when you do a new build, a lot of times the builder will have the same thing in all the bathrooms and maybe
Yeah.
something different for the kitchen. We do see that a lot, but nobody's going to notice if it's different.
Oh, I
you
would
know,
notice.
you can create a whole different
would notice.
world. You know, like a laundry room or a powder bath. Maybe
Yeah.
you have the option of creating a whole different world in there. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to match anything.
I feel like in times past they used to do that, but now it's more
Yeah.
like use the same materials
Consistent and
throughout.
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. We can do that. I was going to show you this unique piece of stone here.
So what is
It's
this
really
backing?
heavy.
I've seen this on some of them. What's the backing for?
It just holds it together because this is a very chippy piece.
Okay.
It can break very easily,
Okay.
but it's just a
It
really
is
super unique
gorgeous.
piece. Isn't it cool?
That's so pretty.
I've had a number of people wanting
Looks like
this.
a piece
but
of art.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, it's very fragile, so
Mm.
it breaks really easily. It's not-
Even at home once installed.
yeah.
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 Oh,
So sometimes,
And it doesn't come any cheaper though, does it?
no, but as a remnant, it's very cheap. As a full slab, it was probably very
expensive, yeah, I was gonna say.
These are some others that here's another really awesome suede
Yeah.
piece that's been very popular. This is the front. It's
Yeah,
got
you've got
that
a
cool
really
suede
cool
finish.
job. I
Yeah.
love these edges.
Yeah, like those, I like
Yeah.
those too.
Oh my goodness. And then
It
the granite,
looks
right?
good, but if you think about rubbing against it with your shirt all the time, you're
Right.
gonna be
Yeah.
having pulls on your shirt.
I just think of like my nephews
Yeah.
slamming it.
Forehead.
Yeah.
Forehead height to a 4-year-old.
No doubt.
Yeah. So
You have a very,
all of
very cool
this-
job. Yeah. A fun one.
Wow, it's a lot of slab out here.
Aren't you glad you don't have to move it?
Yeah, oh Lord, I could imagine.
Well, thank you so
Well,
much.
when someone comes out and they're looking for a remnant, you know, we need to know about what size the vanity is or whatever that they're looking for to make sure the piece is going to be large enough, obviously.
Yeah.
So when we find a piece, we'll mark it and take a photo of it. So in 3 weeks, when they go to cut it, the guys can find the piece. We've got to tell them where it is. So
And
my
you just
cell
leave
phone
this
tends
out
to be
here.
full of slab photos. Yeah. Well, the white
Mine's
quartz.
my dog. Yours is slab.
Oh, I have dogs too. The white quartz, we said, is not a good outdoor product,
Right.
but it is mostly laid out here so that you can't see the surface of it. The
Okay,
front,
to protect
they're
it.
back to back, or they're front
Okay.
to front a lot to protect it, but also they come and go so quickly
Gotcha.
that they're not getting
Not here
damaged
long
in the
enough.
sun because of that. Yeah.
So I've got to ask, just for, you know, I work for a mortgage company. We're all about security and safety, you know, and you leave this out here, no chain.
We have a gate
Okay.
up front.
Okay.
We are working on a sign that says "at your own risk." We don't allow people out here. I mean, if they come after hours or on a Saturday, it's at their own risk. When we know someone is coming, I'm always going to accompany them. And if they happen to want to bring their spouse tonight, I'll say do not touch anything, because not all of these slabs are secured. This one has poles in the front, so it's not going to go anywhere. But you know, the least thing you could do is pinch your fingers,
I was
and it
worried
hurts.
about
Yeah.
theft.
But
You're worried about
oh,
somebody getting knocked
no,
over. I'm
somebody's
worried
gonna
about
get
theft.
hurt. No, somebody's gonna get hurt. They're not gonna steal anything. It's too heavy.
Like
I
what?
mean, if they can steal a piece, more power to them. But no, it's more a safety issue because they're very heavy, and you think you can just pull it to look at the one behind it, but you don't realize how heavy that is. And if it comes out of balance, it's gonna fall on you.
Oh,
And
painful.
I mean, people have died. People have died in stone yards before.
Wow.
It's just, we are wholesalers, we're not retailers. So what that means is we have to be sure that there's a contractor or a designer or a kitchen and bath dealer working on the job with them, because so many other things come up that we can't handle. So it seems like almost every job, either the cabinets aren't completely level, or they want to move an outlet, or they want to take their 2-level countertop down to 1 level, or you know, something like that. There has to be a contractor on the job because it has to be ready.
So the average person can't just pull off into the parking lot, come in and say, hey, I want to buy a countertop.
Right, because
They
we're
come
not a
to
store.
you.
We're not a
Okay.
store. They need to call, they schedule an appointment. They're working with this builder, this designer, or whatever, and then the pricing goes through that designer
Right.
or that
Yeah,
builder or whatever.
sure.
We don't retail price, we're only wholesale.
That makes sense.
So yeah,
That's good to know.
yeah.
That's good to know.
awesome.
That is
Now,
so
are
hard
you
for
at
people
liberty?
to understand.
It is
though.
difficult, yeah.
People they don't agree with it, so they don't want to believe it.
And it explains a lot too, because when I was shopping, I also had to do the same. My contractor had to indicate
Right.
to those that I was going to, you know, who he was, and hey, I'm sending so and so out to see
Right.
what's available.
Right.
That makes sense. So, are you at liberty to say like which builders were you know, larger remodelers that you normally work
If
with?
people need references, we can give them a sheet of references of a
Okay.
bunch of different places that they can call.
Okay.
You know, sometimes like an individual builder will be working with them for a couple of different jobs, and then they'll happen to be in on one of them and say, you know, if you want to refer me out, I don't have a whole lot of jobs coming up, you know, or
Okay.
something like
That's
that.
nice
So
to have connections.
I don't want to refer them to somebody that there's no way they can fit them in their schedule.
Yeah.
So we do have a list of cabinet makers and designers and things
good
like
to
that
know.
that we can refer people
good
to.
to know.
Yeah.
That's good for me too, because I mean, as a lender, I'm not allowed to and shouldn't recommend any one specific contractor.
Right. Well,
but it
and we
helps to
don't
know
wanna-
people who know contractors.
Well, yes, but we don't want to show preference either. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we'll give them a list.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.